Former President Trump's impeachment trial may be over, but what lies ahead for the Republican Party is still a question mark. This morning, Cowan is in conversation with Cindy McCain, wife of late Republican Senator John McCain.
I still suffer from a little bit of, feeling not adequate sometimes, like, oh, who would listen to me kind of thing.
But they do.
I know they do, and I'm grateful for that.
Cindy McCain.
Thank you.
She's no stranger to the sway her last name brings in politics.
Most people say, why isn't she the candidate? My wife, Cindy McCain.
For nearly 4 decades, during her husband's life of public service, she was right there by his side, including his 2 runs for the White House. She lost Senator John McCain in 2018 to brain cancer. The man who was never president was mourned by several.
What do you miss most about him, you think?
Oh, gosh, I never thought I would say this. I miss the chaos in the house because when
chaos?
Yeah, his chaos. When he would walk in the door, and I mean that in a good way, it's good chaos. There was always action happening. There was always something. I miss that. I miss the commotion. And I miss his partnership and his friendship and his love. And it's, it's day by day.
And with his passing, it's been said the Senate lost its conscience, too.
So where is the moral center now without him?
We're going to find it again. It's swung right now. Our side is swung way to the right. It'll come back. It'll come back.
To see just how far that political pendulum has swung, she says, look no further than former President Trump's second impeachment trial. His acquittal on the charge he incited the insurrection at the Capitol was proof, she says, that the GOP is in danger of becoming a party defined by the personality of one man.
We have got to overcome this. We have to, not just as a party, but as a country. We cannot allow this.
Do you think there'll be a split within the party?
You're probably, maybe. I know something's going to happen. I know that much. Or our party's dead if we don't.
What do you think the senator would have done if he'd been there?
Oh, he would have gone in the hall and started fighting. I mean, he absolutely, he wouldn't have hidden. I could guarantee you he wouldn't have gone to the safe room. I'm not suggesting there was anything inappropriate about going to the safe room, but just he was a fighter. He would never have stood by and let that happen. He just wouldn't have done it.
Cindy McCain, wife of the late Republican Senator John McCain, is endorsing Joe Biden for president.
Months before the attack, she felt so strongly, she publicly urged her fellow Republicans to turn their backs on the Trump wing of the party and vote for Joe Biden for president instead.
It was obviously a decision you didn't take lightly.
No, I didn't.
Right?
No. I thought about it a great deal and prayed about it, and I could no longer sit back and yell at the television set like everybody else and just complain without doing something. And so I did the only thing I knew, and that was to support him.
There have been whispers out there about a possible role in the administration. Would you be open to something like that?
I want to do whatever the president wants me to do. If he comes back and suggests, look, we need you here, I want you to do something, of course I will. You can't turn down, when a president says to you, we need you.
The McCains and the Bidens have been friends for a long time. It was First Lady Jill Biden who actually introduced John McCain to the then Cindy Lou Hensley back in 1979.
It was at a cocktail party in Hawaii, and I was with my parents. Jill's the one that said, why don't you go over and talk to her? Go over and, because I guess he was looking my way. I wasn't paying any attention. Anyway, I don't know.
McCain would later join Biden in the Senate. And although their view across the aisle was different on so many issues, their friendship never wavered.
I watched my husband argue and fight with Joe Biden, with Ted Kennedy and others, but he did it for the good of the country. And that's what we have to do now. We have to do it for the good of the country.
And afterwards maintain those relationships.
Oh, my God, they were best of friends. I mean, it was never personal.
But her endorsement was personal for the Arizona GOP. They voted to censure Cindy McCain for her apparent defection in supporting a Democrat.
Does that mean anything? What does that mean?
Oh, God, it's laughable. I'm sorry. There are a lot of names in the Arizona Republican Party that have been censored. So I'm going to have T-shirts made with all the names on it.
But she wasn't just the Maverick's wife. She had a political life of her own, working with the McCain Institute on human rights issues, especially human trafficking. But she's never had any desire to run for elected office herself, she says. Still doesn't.
And then these are all the babies now.
She's found that rhythm of life without a spouse, taking joy in her grandkids and spending time with family. During the pandemic, she and her daughter-in-law started creating recipes for what she called quarantine cocktails and posted them on Instagram.
And it kind of took off, didn't it?
It did take off. I did not expect that at all.
One of the most popular
I'm glad you're here because I would have it on the ceiling.
was her blended watermelon margarita.
Cheers.
Cheers. They're fun.
Indeed they are. It's strong, but that
It is, yeah. We probably could have gotten away with the 8 ounces.
She does have a lot to toast, despite it all. A stroke in 2004 left both her mobility and her spirits in pretty rough shape. To boost those spirits, she returned to a love she'd had for a long time. Cars. Race cars especially. And took lessons in the art of drift racing.
It's how to keep the car under control at the most out of control point, that you're about to lose it.
Yep, that used to be her, sliding around corners like that at speeds that would make the rest of us blanch, but not her.
How much do you think that contributed to sort of getting you past your stroke?
100%. Being able to celebrate something that I could do and learn, and it meant everything to me.
She confronted her fear of flying in much the same way. In the 80s, she bought a Cessna 182, and she learned to fly it herself.
It's ridiculous for me to be scared of flying, so I thought I'll just do this to increase my confidence, and at least I'll know what's going on. And I wound up loving it.
Grief, however, has proven a tougher obstacle to overcome. She moved out of the Arizona home she and the senator had shared and bought a house in the Phoenix neighborhood where she grew up.
Give you a little bit of a fresh start, a little bit?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to just be up here.
The senator's presence, though, still looms large. Bits of his life are everywhere here. By the fire are the shoes McCain wore during his first campaign for Congress back in 1982. She had them bronzed.
The Bronson Company wrote me back and said, "Are you sure you want to do these shoes like this? We usually get baby shoes," but I said, "Nope, I want to."
Look at the holes and everything.
Yeah, complete with the holes.
John McCain was a war hero and a statesman, and for that, history will record his achievements. But for Cindy McCain, it's more personal. His politics were rooted in family, and that, she says, is what still matters the most.
Is there a pressure to carry on the senator's legacy, or do you feel like you almost have to do something?
It's not a pressure. It's what I need to do, and maybe for my grandchildren, that's part of it too. I want them to know him, even though they never will. I'd like them to know him.